Good afternoon. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. It is Monday, January 30th, and we welcome you to our weekly Westchester County Update. I'm here along with Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins to go over some of the key issues that we're facing in Westchester County today. We have a report on some of those issues that are pending that may be of some interest or help to you. We have with us, and I'll introduce him more formally in a second, the Mayor of the Village of Croton-on-Hudson, Brian Pugh. We'll also be joined by the co-chair of our Asian American Advisory Board, Marjorie Hsu. We'll give you an update on some of the parks issues that are happening around Westchester County and some news about our transportation system. This update was an outgrowth of the COVID outbreak from 3 years ago when we did these on a regular basis to talk about COVID. We do not report on COVID at every single one of these meetings, but we'll try to keep you posted every few weeks. We're still dealing with COVID now as an endemic. And we feel comfortable that as difficult a disease as it is, we're managing it within our capabilities. And so we feel that we want to put it in the proper perspective of priority issues, but not let it be the central organizing activity of our county government. We always have a guest join us from one of the many municipalities of Westchester County. There are 45 cities, towns, villages in Westchester. Each one is a little bit different. Each one has a different set of issues and priorities, and of course, each of them are governed by either the mayor of a village or a city or the supervisor of a town. And we're very happy to have them join us here to give us a little flavor of what makes Westchester so diverse and in each area of the county attractive. You may live in one corner of the county and have no idea about what's happening in another corner of the county, so we try to bring that forward for you. The county government, as a regional local government, works as closely as we can with our different municipalities, and so we are partners to the greatest extent possible. There are times when we disagree. That happens in our own homes. But for the purposes of trying to provide the best possible government to you as a Westchester County taxpayer and resident, the interworkings of the cities, the towns, the villages, and the county should be as cooperative and as easy to accomplish as is possible. With that, I want to introduce the mayor of the Village of Croton-on-Hudson, Brian Pugh, who's been mayor since December of 2017, so he's passed his 5th anniversary in this capacity. He governs a community of 8,300 individuals. It is a village within the town of Cortland, and it's right across the river from Ossining, so it's a very prominent part of our Hudson River community. So next, Mr. Mayor, please join us here and share with us whatever you'd like. Brian Pugh, Mayor of Croton.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive. All right. Good afternoon. Thank you again for having me. I'd like to share with you the village's upcoming 125th anniversary. Croton was founded in 1898, and in honor of that historic occasion, we'll be having a reenactment of its actual incorporation that will be happening on February 10th at 7:30 at the Croton-Harmon Senior High School, where you can see me and other members of the Board of Trustees wearing top hats and celebrating that historic occasion. Speaking of other historic occasions, the village observed, I believe for the first time, a Chinese New Year celebration this weekend, the preceding weekend, and that was organized by the volunteers of our wonderful Diversity and Inclusion Committee. And then another slightly longer lasting tradition is the Eagle Fest, which will be coming up this Sunday at Croton Point Park, organized by our friends at T-Town. Please come out and meet the Raptors. So Croton is turning 125, and we're working to make sure the next 125 is just as green, and we remain a green and growing community. And to that end, we are taking additional steps to add renewable energy sources to the electric grid. The cornerstone of that is the carport solar array, which is coming to the Croton-Harmon train station parking lot in Lot B. The spaces in question have actually already been blocked off. Construction is expected imminently with completion in the summer. This will generate, when completed, 4 megawatts of energy, enough for approximately 500 homes, and an important step forward in meeting our community and the state's climate goals. We also anticipate meeting the needs of our community in terms of more housing. The keystone of that is the development at 4151 Maple Street. Again, groundbreaking is expected any day now. This will house 33 families, 11 units of 1 bedroom, 11 units of 2 bedroom, and 11 units of 3 bedroom, all at different levels of affordability. And we are not stopping there. This is an important down payment on our effort to close the gap for renters and those in need of housing. The county executive in 2019 issued a clarion call for action with regards to housing following the release of the county's housing needs assessment, which in the case of Croton-on-Hudson found that some 200 tenant households were spending half their income on rent, which is an absolutely crushing burden. Again, this new development is 33 households, and we are making steady progress. And thanks to the support of the county, working with the Housing Action Council, which is being funded by a grant from the county government, the village is currently in the process of developing a floating affordable housing zone, as well as revising our accessory dwelling unit ordinance and exploring the expansion of the Emergency Tenant Protection Act, aka rent stabilization and/or rent control. And we owe all that to our partnership with the county, and we appreciate the county executive's leadership and partnership in all these matters. Thank you.
Thanks very much. That's Mayor Brian Pugh of the Village of Croton-on-Hudson. We thank him for being with us today and the partnership, as he's indicated, over the course of our time together. We have many projects with all the various villages, towns, and cities in Westchester County, environmental initiatives where we're providing basic services, and certainly affordable housing is one of them. So we thank Brian for his time and his appreciation. I'll ask Ken Jenkins to join me here. We have some good news on our list of things. For almost 3 full years, the Westchester County Center, the exhibit hall and a great center of activity here in White Plains, right on the White Plains-Greenburgh border, has been taken out of action as a venue for attractions and turned into a healthcare facility. Over the course of the pandemic, it was turned for uses of vaccinations, testing, and a host of other activities, and now it's being returned to its prior use, and effective at the end of February, Westchester County Center will be back open for normal business, and we're very happy to see that happen. For those of you who passed by the county center during the period of time, you didn't have to go inside to see that there were tents that were created on the parking lot. It completely changed the parking lot structure. The old parking lot was destroyed in order to create 54 hospital bays, or 56 hospital bays, I think, inside the building itself, which were used for a variety of purposes during COVID. And now that the state is restoring that back, we have a brand new parking lot out front, and now we have a brand new inside to the building. We're seeing some examples of that with some of the photographs that you're seeing now. We will look forward to hosting many of the traditional groups that we've had at the county center again this year. Since we didn't know when it would be open, we're not going to have the full complement of things, but we are looking to bring back the home show, the baseball card show, the reptile show, which is one of my favorite ones, he says with tongue-in-cheek. And of course, we're in negotiations right now with the Section 1 Athletic Conference to return the basketball finals for boys and girls high school basketball. That is a decision not yet been made by Section 1. They obviously have to take a lot of different things into account. We hope to have a positive result soon, but whatever the result is, we expect that there'll be plenty of basketball at that arena in the short term, and even more importantly, in the long term. There are some issues that we had to deal with that weren't related to the pandemic. Hurricane Ida created some flooding off of the Bronx River that affected the basement of the county center. It impacted our elevator system, and so there were some repairs that were flood-related that set us back some, but all of that stuff is behind us now, and we're very excited that we're ready to have this go forward in a positive light. We do need some air conditioning structure for the building. If you get into that building in the late spring and the summer, early fall, it can be pretty warm. The building was built right around 1930, but we have certain materials that help us cool the building. We lost some of those during the flood and some of this activity, so we hope that all those will be restored. We have a big conference, a convention, a statewide convention of the American Legion Post veterans in the summertime. Ron Tochi, the head of our Veteran Services, has been the chief organizer of that. Natasha Caputo, who heads our tourism operation here, has been also a partner in having that happen. That's a big thing for Westchester to host. And we will have a major element of that convention here at the county center coming up in July. We need our air conditioning ready, certainly, for July here in White Plains. But we're very excited about all of these different things. And even though I'm still on my diet, I'm happy to say Nathan's is coming back. So for those of you who get accustomed to having a Nathan hot dog when you go to the arena, that will be back in force, too. How many bookings we're going to have this year, what we do about some of the traditional uses of the county center, over the course of 23 calendar year and into 24, we'll determine as we go forward, and we'll certainly make some announcements in the press about the different groups that have decided to come back. But the good news is County Center is coming back online within the next 30 days. We're very excited about it, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. We'll see some high school basketball there as we go forward. Next, I'd like to invite another guest to join us here at the podium. I'll ask Ken to move to this side, and Marjorie can stand over here. Marjorie Shue, who is a resident of the village of Sleepy Hollow, very active in a number of different community organizations. She serves, I believe, on the zoning board or planning board.
Former planning board.
Former planning board. Well, she managed to get that off her resume. But she serves as the co-chair for the moment of our Asian American Advisory Board. It's a group that we've created just in the last few years. And it is a companion structure to the existing African American Advisory Board and Hispanic Advisory Board that we had in place. We had an Asian American Advisory Board and an Arab American Advisory Board to deal with issues that affect those of our Westchester residents, our neighbors and friends, who are of Asian extraction from any of the different cultures that represent all of Asia, from countries of China, Japan, Korea, Southeast Asia, India, and so forth. And there are unique issues, and there are issues of particularly of prejudice and safety that have affected the Asian American community here and across the United States. Marjorie's here today. I'm going to have her say a few words in a second, but we've worked together on one of a series of executive orders that I've issued, which is aimed at combating discrimination and setting the county's position very clearly for all of the county structure that we have to direct any of this effort to involve public education and push back against any type of ethnic discrimination. This executive order that we have that involves Asian American discrimination is as follows. Over the past 3 years, there's been a sharp increase in anti-Asian hate crimes and hate incidents. This discrimination takes many forms, from hostility. It comes from suspicion that individual Asian Americans are somehow tied to the coronavirus outbreak, and it has manifested itself in verbal abuse and harassment and even in some cases physical violence. This is part of the prejudicial atmosphere that we reject in all forms, and there are other executive orders that are coming and will be in place to deal with all sources of these hatreds as they're expressed. Our belief is that hate has no home here. And no matter what your race, what your creed, what your nationality is, your sexual orientation, your skin color, you're welcome here in Westchester County. Part of it is that it is a moral right for those of us who are Americans to be able to live safely and freely within this country and be part of this great melting pot, which we take such pride in when we look back on the standards that we put in the Declaration of Independence and what's inscribed at the base of the Statue of Liberty. It is also a matter of hard-headed practicality that we look to magnify the diversity of this county as part of why we have been such a strong economic engine over the years. We tap into the talents of every person, regardless of any of those demographic categories. We form an effective community that together can raise the economy and raise all the boats. And this is one of the reasons why major U.S. corporations who have been attracted here stay here, because they see that we have a diverse workforce, we have a consumer base to consume products and services, and so there is every bit an economic reason as there is a moral reason for us to push back against discrimination. Marjorie, in her professional career, is a corporate executive with great background in a host of different areas, technology and some other areas, and her community involvements complement that. We're very happy that she heads the Asian American Advisory Board, has helped us in the language of this executive order, and I wanted to share her thoughts at this moment in time. Marjorie.
Thank you, George. The Asian American Advisory Board certainly is applauding our county executive and our county government for the solidarity with the Asian American community. We just in 2022 completed a Asian American Pacific Islander needs assessment survey, and we learned that people are moving to Westchester specifically for the safe and welcoming community that we have here in Westchester. And while the incidents of anti-Asian hate have been very low here, gratefully, there's still a great concern. 2/3 of our Asian American community fear for future anti-Asian hate incidents. And certainly during this time when we should be celebrating our Lunar New Year, our most festive holiday for many Asian ethnicities, we're reeling from the hate incidents and the crimes against Asians on our other coast in Monterey Park and in Half Moon Bay. But here in Westchester, we feel the support of our county executive and the government, and we certainly applaud and feel the compassion and the sensitivity and solidarity with our county executive and his team. Much more work to do so that we can together combat hate against all people and feel more peace and safety within our Westchester community. Thank you.
And I want to compliment Marjorie and her committee. They've just undertaken a major survey to try to get information on the feelings and the perceptions of people in the Asian American community and how we can better structure a way to reach out, connect, and serve that community. We've had the opportunity just recently to have a celebration for the Lunar New Year here in our county facility, reaching out to many of our Asian American organization friends and so forth. But it is not just celebrating certain types of events. We celebrated a Diwali celebration for those of Hindu and Indian heritage. But it's also looking at ways that we can positively make outreach in ways that will help that community feel better connected and more a contributing part of our society. So as we go forward together with the Asian American Advisory Board, we hope that this statement is the right symbolism and is followed by the right kind of substance. And so we appreciate your work and the work of your colleagues. Thanks very much for your time. Thank you. Marjorie Hsu with us from the Asian American Advisory Board. And as we go forward in the weeks to come, we'll have similar statements that deal with other elements of the demographics in Westchester County. I would just generalize by saying that every ethnicity can point to some element in history where they have been the other in a society, prejudiced against in some way, shape, or form. We know that in our society today, we've seen that happen in the African American community, the Hispanic community, Asian American community, and other ethnic groups, also by demographics, women, those in the LGBTQ community. I read recently an historical speech that was given by Abraham Lincoln during the period of time prior to his becoming president. And he was remarking about the pushback in history in the 1850s of a movement in the United States that was called the Know Nothing Party. And this is not on the final exam, so you don't have to write these notes down, but you can go back and look and research this. The Know Nothing Party was a political party for a number of years that elected some officials to statewide and congressional office. And this was an American nativist party that was in opposition to immigration. The immigrants of that day were German Catholics and the Irish that were coming to the United States in the 1840s, the 1850s, and they represented a source of great fear and anger of the residential population of that day. Now, that's a very different combination of ethnic groups than the ones today that feel prejudiced against. But we've seen this stream over time. And we've been able to rise above those hatreds and be able to absorb into this great American experiment people of all different backgrounds. And we do that, again, because of its moral rightness and also because it is smart, intelligent, economic, beneficial policy for all of us. And hopefully we here in Westchester County can do our portion of that as we go forward. A couple of other issues to talk about, much more prosaic in the responsibilities of the county government as a regional local government. Westchester County has announced the completion and delivery of 106 hybrid electric buses for our B-Line bus fleet. This is an important milestone for the district. We are approaching 90% conversion of our B-Line buses from what was previously a diesel-driven system. I think it's about 330 or so buses is the magic number, as I recall it. And we're now approaching the point in which we will have either hybrid electric buses or all-electric buses in our system. The impact of that with these buses represent a savings to the county. We will save something like 150,000 gallons of diesel fuel from one year to the next. It operates more on electricity than it does on that type of fuel. These buses, these hybrid electric buses, are heavy-duty transit buses. It's built by a company called New Flyer of America, which is a leading bus manufacturer here in North America. It has advantages in the buses themselves for the riders. It's a quieter ride. It's a more comfortable ride. There's the ability to charge your phone with an electrical outlet in your seat as you're riding in the bus. There are bike racks on the bus, so for those who bicycle to the bus stop and then bicycle when they get to their destination, as a way to use the mass transit more efficiently for their purposes. That is a capacity here. Those charging ports at every seat is a great advantage for those of us that now live on our electric devices from moment to moment. Each of these buses cost a significant amount of money, $715,000 per bus. And 70% of that amount was funded by the federal government. So we thank our federal partners, those members of Congress that went to bat for us to try to get this additional money. The all-electric buses are even more expensive. At this point, the technology is such that to produce those buses individually done is not cheap. But we've made this commitment. It's good for the environment. It's part of our efforts to push back against our carbon footprint and global warming. It creates less emission at the bus stop. So if you are standing there having just gotten off a Beeline bus and one of these hybrid electric buses leaves, or an all-electric bus leaves, you don't get that blast of air pollution from the back end of the diesel bus that you used to have before. So it reduces by some percentage the amount of particulate matter that's in the air and the amount of nitrogen oxide fumes that are in the air. I wasn't real good at science, but I know that it smells. And when it doesn't smell, and the passengers and the pedestrians that are there, they see an improvement in air quality and the immediacy of that. So with all of those things in mind, we're going to continue to complete the conversion of the bus fleet. Take us a little while longer, but when it's fully completed and we have either hybrid electric or all-electric buses, we will have made a significant movement. I believe we're the first bus system in New York State to get this close to electrification, and we are the second largest bus system in New York State after New York City. So we have a larger bus fleet that serves Westchester County than Nassau County, Suffolk, Erie County, the city of Albany, city of Rochester, and some of these other areas. So we're very proud that we have a mass transit system. We're working to improve the mass transit system with routes, and of course we've made it fare-free for quite a bit of last year. We expect to do that experiment again this year. But the quality of the buses with hybrid electric and electric buses really sets us forward for the future. And so we're happy to announce these 106 buses are going to be out on the streets of Westchester County. And you'll see them when they come down the street. They're marked accordingly, and hopefully that shows that we're making another step in the right direction. I want to remind you again that we have suspended sales tax on home energy costs. We are now close to the end of the month of January, and this suspension of sales tax on home energy will continue through the month of February, through the end of February. So the period of time, all of December, all of January, all of February. There may be residents that have some issues regarding receiving the tax reduction. If you do, there is a website and a phone number that you can call to get further information. This is all managed through the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance. Their Sales Tax Information Center can be reached at area code 518-485-2889 during normal business hours. There's also a website link, nystax.custhelp.com. These things are very long. Hopefully it's going to be on our screen. If it isn't, you can call us here at 995-2900. We'll give you the connections so that you can find what the issues are. For those of you who have Con Edison and NYSEG, and I assume you have either one of them for electric services, whether it heats your house or not, the billing cycle for electric utilities is mid-month to mid-month. So from November 15th to December 15th or 14th is the period of billing, and you receive a bill just before the end of that period to pay in the month of, for the sake of this argument, December. You will find that your December bill had on it sales tax, even though sales tax is lifted in December. Because of the mid-month billing cycle, you will see no sales tax on your January bill, which you should have seen already. on your February bill, yet to come, and your March bill. And the March bill rescission of sales tax offsets what you might have seen in sales tax in December. This is something that we saw as we went through the process, and so we make sure that you know it. Check your bills. If there are any problems with that, then you can contact the phone number that I've referenced a second ago. This also, the sales tax not only applies to the major utilities, but it applies to delivery of oil and propane. And then if you do heat your house through wood or coal, let's hope it's not coal, but nonetheless, however you heat your home, the sales tax on those energy sources are also lifted. And there is a difference in the percentage of what that sales tax is if you live in any of the towns, any of the villages, or in the cities of Rye and Peekskill. That is the 4% number that is lifted. In the cities of Mount Vernon, Yonkers, White Plains, and New Rochelle, the county portion of the sales tax is 1.5%. So it's a lesser amount, but it's not a full lifting of the sales tax. That is because those 4 cities have their own sales tax authority separate from the county, which makes up some of that 4%. More complicated than perhaps I can explain in a sentence or two. If you do have any questions, give us a call. I'll be happy to explain it. We have been trying over the course of the last year, recognizing the impact of inflation in the economy, to do those things that we can do to try to make it easier financially. The cessation of bus fare for a significant part of last year was part of that. The lifting of the energy cost is part of that. During last summer, we made some of our commuter parking lots that are close to the train stations free. We also made it free to sit for civil service exams. And we tried to do a number of different things where we had the authority to do it. A county government does not have control over food prices. We see the price of eggs rising. We don't have any particular control over that. But where we do have control, we see the issue, we try to deal with it directly. And I think probably the most important thing that we've done is for the 4th straight year, we've reduced the total general fund property tax levy for the county. That impact on you depends on where you live, because each town has a different, and city has a different equalization rate and a different assessment role. But nonetheless, by us delivering a budget that requires less property tax to balance it, we also try to provide an advantage. So if you balance all of these things off, we're certainly trying to make a direct effort to be helpful to you in whatever way we can. I'm going to invite Ken to come now and talk a little about some of our recreational programs. We've got a couple of ones that are on the docket, both at Lasden and at Muscoot in the northern part of the county. So our Deputy County Executive, Ken Jenkins.
Thanks, George. And certainly because of all of the efforts that have been made across the board to be able to help you save funds and money throughout the year, as County Executive just laid out, we have some tremendous programs that our Department of Parks, Recreation, and Conservation continues to do. And one of the next ones that's coming up, we know we just did the train show with Santa visit with the county executive, myself, and Santa, starting things off at Lasden. The next series at Lasden is the Amazing Butterflies presentation, which is an exhibit that's going to be at Lasden. It's going to start on February 4th, and it's going to May 7th, and tickets are now available. It's produced by Minotaur Mazes of Seattle. It's an immersive experience that's based on an exhibition from the Natural History Museum in London, featuring certainly scientific input and interpretation. And it's a maze, so you're going to discover fascinating facts about our planet, and most importantly, about our planet's amazing life cycles. But beware, the maze includes dead ends, down which lurks poisonous plants and predators waiting to pounce. If you choose the right route, you'll stamp your card along the way, and you'll emerge as a beautiful butterfly. It's a wonderful experience for folks to go through with family. Not necessarily everyone thinks that that's the case, but the truth is that you always can learn something new by going through all of these particular opportunities in this kind of a maze, getting out and about in our tremendous county through our park system. And again, tickets are available now through May 7th. Go to the Friends of Lasden Park at lasdenpark.org, or you can call for additional information. And I know that number is going to also be on the bottom of our screen. Continuing on our theme in the Parks, Recreation, and Conservation, we're going to be able to celebrate Groundhog Day at Muscoot Farm. And in Westchester County, we have expecting an early spring or 6 more weeks of winter. We will have an opportunity to flock to Muscoot's Farm annual Groundhog Day celebration, where all eyes are going to be on its weather predicting chicken, Chuckskatani Henrietta, to see if she'll lay an egg, signaling an early spring. And you should look out because Henrietta has been on point for several years. So you know what? It's an opportunity for the 5th year in a row for Muscoot Farm to celebrate Groundhog Day with a twist, relying on one of its very own farm animals to predict the weather in a way that mirrors Pennsylvania Puxaswani Phil. So again, that's going to be at February 2nd. That's going to be at Muscoot at 10 a.m. in the morning, and you certainly could watch live on Facebook, as we do with every one of our events in our park system. Again, Facebook, Muscoot Farm, to be able to watch to see whether we're going to have another 6 weeks of winter. We know this winter has been shallow on snow in our downstate region here in Westchester, breaking records for the warming that's happening. We're in the 50s for the next few days. So, but we got to keep remembering we may have another 6 weeks of winter, and you never know what could happen. So make sure you get a chance to either go to Muscoot or to Lasden Park. Back to you, George.
Thank you, Ken Jenkins, our Deputy County Executive. 13 years ago, I was in Pittsburgh, and I had driven to Pittsburgh for a meeting, and I was on my way back going to Albany. I was in the state legislature at the time. So I decided to take my route through Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, which is in the, sort of the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania, outstate Pennsylvania. And I went through the town that they will have this ceremony in a couple of days, where everyone's in a top hat and they take the poor groundhog out of the ground. He sees a shadow, he doesn't see a shadow. And the whole town's tourism was based around the groundhog. They had all these groundhog statues all over town. It was kind of amazing, I must say. I never thought we'd have our own effort here, Cluxatawny Henrietta at Muscoot, but I was there for one of these things. The kids love it. It's great fun to see if the chicken lays the egg. I don't know that I actually want to make my plans for the winter based on the chicken, but whatever it is, it's a fun thing to do, and we hope you'll enjoy Lasden and Muscoot and all of our various county parks, even in the wintertime. And we know that the golf courses are closed. We're sorry. The golfers want to play golf, I know, 365. But we're trying very hard in the improvements that we've made. And we've made quite a lot of improvements from one end of the county to the other. The ones we've done already by a number of years at Spring Ridge Pool and the North County Trailway, the South County Trailway, the improvements we made at Scout Field and a number of other places. And so we want you to be able to enjoy Muscoot and Lasden and all the other parks. And so thank you for that, Ken. I'm going to close by mentioning that we have upcoming the next in our series of activities and events that honor one of our different ethnic groups, and that is upcoming Black History Month, which is in the month of February. We just mentioned that with the Asian American community, we had a Lunar New Year celebration here at our building, and so we will again celebrate Black History Month, reaching out to our various African American organizations to join us for that event. That is coming up in a week, Monday night, February 6th, 5:30 p.m., and we welcome those who are involved in this. We also have an annual event called the Trailblazers event, which is coming up on February 23rd at 6 o'clock. Ken is the host of that event, and it is a virtual event again this year. This is an example of sort of the residual realities of COVID. We've had an in-person event for many years, and now, unfortunately, for the last 3 years, we've had to go virtual. But it is a wonderful program. We're going to be honoring some very special people in the African American community who have contributed greatly to the society, and look for more information about that. There's still almost a month until that's going to be on, and we think that also is a wonderful statement for African American community on Black History Month. So that's also on the agenda. We will continue to communicate with you if we get some good news on Section 1, and the County Center will share that with you. We also have some plans to publicize our County Police Board. This is the existing civilian group that gives advice to the county, both the Department of Public Safety and general government, about matters that relate to the police. We'll have some activity with Leroy Frazier, who chairs that board, and some of their members introduce you to the public while we go through a period of time where, once again, we're looking at what our policing services are like here in Westchester in light of things that have happened elsewhere in the country. Pretty difficult things to have to deal with. But we will do what we can do in our home turf on that area, so we expect we'll have an opportunity to look at that and show that in the days to come. We have an issue about maternal health coming up a little bit later in the next couple of weeks that we'll highlight that here at the podium. And again, we'll be back next Monday to give an update on issues at that stage of the game. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. Thanks for watching. We hope you have a good and safe week ahead, and we'll see you soon.